Hello, hello. This is Ignacy Trzewicek from Portal Games.
And Corey Thompson from Above Board TV, Playtesting Games, lots of other stuff.
And this is Stephen Bonacore, the Podfather of Gaming. You are listening to Board Games Insider, episode 366. We're recording it on April 22nd, 2025, live from the East China Sea, somewhere between South Korea and Tokyo, and also from Poland and Niagara Falls, New York. Board Games Insider, powered by Board Game Geek. Gentlemen, this is amazing. I'm 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 waiting until next week when we do this, when we're literally like on three separate, almost equidistant parts of the planet, because Corey will be back on the West Coast, and I'll be floating around somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. I don't know. But it's really great that we were able to do this. We have so much to talk about. Oh my God, we have news upon news upon news. So why don't we just get to what's happening at Portal Games, Ignacy?
At Portal Games, we started a campaign for Race to Berlin. This is our game found campaign for our new game. This is a war game. This is my personal passion. And it's, of course, going slow because a war game, not regular board game. But we are, at this point, as I'm checking, we are 60% funded. So we need a couple of more backers. So, of course, my request to all our listeners, to all our fans, please visit the page for Race to Berlin, the game found, and check it out. It's a very interesting two-player game. Now, as I write in all the posts and articles that I post on social media and our website, it has a Euro game feel. You have to manage your resources, your logistics, your soldiers, and you have to build your front line. So there is a lot of Euro mechanism. It's a two-player game, very smart. And what I post and when I discuss about the game, it is on the lighter side of the wargaming. Like war games can be terrifying. They can last like 12 hours a game. They can have 80 pages of the rulebook. This hobby is absolutely crazy. This one, of course, is for Eurogamer, for fans of Portal Games. So the rulebook is very short, lots of examples, lots of strategy guides for the fans to discover how to play the game. So once again, from Ignacy to our listeners, a message: please at least check it out. Visit the page Race to Berlin at GameFound and consider supporting us in these very difficult, very crazy times. As we are discussing the tariffs and all the different problems for the publisher. So, for instance, for the campaign Race to Berlin, at this point we have 90 90 buckets from America, which I appreciate you if you're one of them. And because of the tariffs and because we cannot calculate what will be the shipping cost of the games, we are charging them only $1. So we have $90 from America instead of having thousands of dollars from America. And if not, the game would be probably already funded, if not this problem. So on one hand, huge thank you to all the backers from America who support us in these difficult times and trust that we'll be able to deliver it in a low cost of shipping and big ask for help from Europe. Our listeners from Europe, this is time for you to help us out. Race to Berlin, Game Found, please support us. This is what's happening at this very moment at Portal Games.
Oh, well, I am currently sitting and the gathering of friends in Niagara Falls, New York. That is the biggest thing going on. It has been nonstop gaming, visiting, socializing, business, networking, good food too. And my brain is a scramble. It's like those in the egg scramble machines. It's just absolutely messed me up. So I played Vlaada Chvátil's new game Severton, which was absolutely amazing. Got to play it with Vlaada. It was such a fun play. I haven't really played a game with him before. So much energy all over the place. Really cool. I brought several copies of Revolve, which is the follow-up to Scout. The designer was kind enough to send me some copies. I brought them to the gathering, and it is on fire. Everybody loves it. It's a really fun game. Another interesting one that I played that I'd heard about for a while is Wilmot's Warehouse. Um, it sounds like an unplayable memory game. It is a grid that is a very large grid. It's about 8 by 8 grid where you put these abstract pictures down on the grid, flip them over, and at the end of the game, you have to remember where you put every one of these tiles. You have to reconstruct an 8 by 8 grid. But the way it's structured and the way you put it down is really an example of the museum of the mind, where you make stories and visually remember how things are laid out. And it's incredible. We did it. And it is such an experience because when you start, you think there's no way I will ever be able to do this. And yet it works. It's like a magic trick. It is so incredible. And so I just had to bring that up. Gathering of Friends could go on for another week. I actually played an amazing game from Bezier that will just blow up, but I can't talk about it because it's NDA. But it is, trust me, there's something really, really great coming there. At the end of the week, I'm going to be heading back to California for a little while, and then I'm getting ready for RageCon, which is the Reno Area Gaming Expo. If anybody's in the area, drop by, see me. RageCon is a fantastic local convention, and it has so much designer presence and prototype presence. It's really an incredible event. And then after RageCon, a good friend Daryl Andrews, a designer of Sagrada, is going to come out to California and is going to stay with me for several weeks, and we're going to just play around in Napa.
Several weeks.
Most of July.
I want to remind Steven that back then we had this rule when Steven had amazing weather at Florida and I had the crappy weather in Poland. The weather was not discussed in the podcast. I think all this happiness and the gaming that Corey has, he should be muted for the whole segment because he's just saying how awesome life is, and I'm stuck here in Poland because I was afraid to
I,
come. So I
I had a plain
suggest we
potato
put
for
these
breakfast.
restrictions of Corey.
Yeah.
Stop talking how awesome there is.
Yeah, I want, and I just want to know what like decade Bonacor will be invited to come out for several weeks to hang out with you. Did Daryl ask you, or did you ask Daryl? We should start with that.
It was just a mutual thing.
The
timing worked out well.
You know, it just happened.
Daryl is doing RageCon, and Daryl is doing Comic-Con, and a bunch of things in between, and it seemed best for him to home base, and we're gonna have a great old time.
I'll never get this invite. Okay.
This
Anyway,
is the man in the South China Sea.
Who invited?
Complaining.
Who invited this inter in the first place to the podcast to
Yeah.
just piss off us?
Yeah.
Like, whose was this idea?
Yeah.
I'm the only representative at the Gathering of Friends here, guys.
He's the only BGI person, Gary. Over here at the Podfather of Gaming. Yes, I am currently in the East China Sea. Last week I was in the South China Sea. Today we were at Jeju Island, which is part of South Korea, and we're now sailing toward Tokyo. We'll be there in 2 days. It's just been an amazing, what a blessing. I'm a blessed life. I really am. I'm not a religious man, but I mean, it's just incredible to have the ability to do this and with so many friends and so many gamers and to hang out and eat my way through Asia because I've got like pork jerky from Korea. I've got potato chips from Taiwan. I've got these rich Japanese curry Pringles from, I believe these are from
that's so
Hong
cool.
Kong. I got these special Oreos from
I am jealous.
From this one was from not Malaysia. This one was from Vietnam Oreos, but also just
Cocoa Pods.
But also the food in all these countries. I mean, I'm in love with Asian food. I was before I got here, but it's just been amazing eating the local cuisines here. Just great. For those who want to follow this insane epic journey, my main Facebook account, I've just been posting. I've been doing one post sometimes two, but one post a day with like, day 13 tomorrow. I'm on like day 14 of this total adventure, which includes the cruise bus time on land in Singapore. You can go there. Just go to my main page, friend me if you'd like, and you can follow each day what we're doing. It's been amazing. So yeah, screw you, Corey. Anyway, let's get over to the event deck. So right now, obviously the industry is, I mean, I don't know how to say this, on fire, right? I mean, it's just like the amount
Yeah.
of bad news coming out and potentially bad news and everything. It's just been crazy. So we've had a number of things happen for one particular company called CMON, which is second largest, third largest company, publicly traded company industry. A bunch of different things with their name on it has come up. So your ever diligent investigative reporter and co-host of BGI, Stephen Bonagor, reached out to CMON with a number of questions with regard to, well, what's happening in the light of tariffs,
I
their
believe I told you
estimated
to do it.
their estimated 2024 loss that they put out there, halting of trading on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange that has occurred,
Yeah.
the departure of a former COO, and he was the non-executive director, David Preddy. He just left the company. Things about payment of bills, printing of games, and the Final Frontier Games statement. So all of this together, I sent them in an email. I said, "Would you guys like to comment on this?" And I got to David Waybright. So David is, first of all, Man versus Meeple, an amazingly great channel
Yeah.
for board game related content. Watch Man versus Meeple. They're amazing. But David is the global marketing director, fairly new in the job for CMON. He got my email to the CEO, the co-CEO of CMON, Chern Ang, and they made a statement to me. And I'd like to read it so that I don't get anything wrong, and then we'll comment on it because it was amazing that we got that much exposure. So this is sort of an exclusive that
Well,
we got.
huge
So
thank yous to David. It's such a nice guy and such good response from Cool Mini. So
absolutely, absolutely. So the response was, and by the way, and I spoke to David on the phone twice as well, but this is the official in writing response. CMON is facing all the same challenges that the rest of the industry is facing right now, and at a scale due to the number of products we currently have in the production pipeline. Current tariffs and their unpredictability are difficult for everyone working in board games, and we are doing everything we can to navigate them, ultimately to deliver great products and remain a healthy business. We're looking hard at our upcoming schedule and moving emphasis from future projects and increasing focus on our current commitments to our customers and partners. This is a shift similar to the one we made during COVID when we were one of the few publishers who continued shipping products despite skyrocketing container prices. Specific to the tariffs, we have a range of plans depending on how things progress, but we anticipate a negotiated settlement solution can be reached that could bring some sense and stability to the situation. I hope we get some sense, that's for sure. About
yeah.
50% of our business comes from the US. We are working closely with our North American distribution partner to determine the approach for retail product. For our direct product through crowdfunding, if the tariffs fall back to a reasonable level, then we will look into absorbing those costs for our US backers. For example, Zombicide White Death is currently being delivered at the 20% tariff rate, and we are not passing these costs on to backers. If and when prices may be affected, we do not intend to increase them everywhere. As with VAT and shipping, we believe that the circumstances of one market should not, if possible, affect other markets. Regarding our listing on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, we expect everything to be sorted out in the coming weeks and for trading to resume shortly. They need to file it, by the way, this is me commenting, they need to file their financial statements, which are just delayed. David is indicating they will be doing so in the coming weeks. Finally,
Yeah.
we don't generally comment on our business dealings with partners, but feel a clarification is needed to be made regarding the recent statements by Final Frontier Games. CMON placed a $65,000 order with them in March of 2023 for a translated version of Merchant's Cove. After repeated delays on their end, production was only completed in April 2025, which is right now. Per our agreement, payment was due upon completion and before pickup. We were still reviewing final files, of which some components were incorrectly printed in English, and were actively in communication when they said they would close their company. We never canceled or refused payment, and the production order was never delivered to us. While the situation is unfortunate, we do not believe their claim accurately reflects the cause of Merchant's Cove
Cove.
Kickstarter fulfillment issues. I hope this helps bring some clarity to things, but please feel free to give me a call if you think there are any questions I may be, which I did. We spoke before this, we spoke after this. David, thank you very much again, and thank you to the CEO, co-CEO Churn Ann, who I know was involved with crafting the statement as well. So, gentlemen, before I continue, I mean, I talked a lot. Any comments there? I mean, I appreciated this statement very much.
Yeah, I think it's great. I just want to go back a little bit. Last week, we talked about the fact that Final Frontier Games had gone bankrupt. And in their statement of bankruptcy, they said that the final nail in the coffin was an unpaid bill from Cool Mini. There's a lot to this to unpack. Final Frontier is a company that started with Cavern Tavern probably 10 years ago. And their most popular game is Merchant's Cove. For more background on the way Final Frontier has been running and what's been going on, there's an interview that just dropped between Ben Maddox, 5 Games for Doomsday. On his 5 Games for Doomsday podcast, he interviewed Johnny Pack, who was in-house designer developer for Final Frontier for many years and was the primary person responsible for a lot of their later titles, including Coloma, Merchant's Cove, Fistful of Evils. In short, it's been another example that's happens too much in the industry of one project not only having to support itself, but also hoping to pay the debt and bills on a prior project, which then was hoping to pay debt and bills on a prior project. So it's unlikely that the Cool Mini incident, which I do think is a he said, she said, it's very unlikely that is what brought down Final Frontier.
Right.
Final Frontier was saying that there was an agreement for half money now, half money later that was not fulfilled. So it'll just come down to the contract. And I don't doubt Cool Mini, being the large company that they are, has that contract down to the letter.
Yeah.
I tend to think that there was a lot going on inside Final Frontier, and this just happened to be a scapegoat.
Right. Yeah. The Final Frontier, everything that I've seen with this statement and with the Johnny Pack interview that you're mentioning, do we have do you know the exact way that people can read that if they want to read that? Is it on?
It's the
on Ben
most
Maddox's
recent on 5 Games for Doomsday. 5G4D.
Yeah, he's an amazing interviewer too. So check out check out that podcast, and you can see what an insider for Final Frontier is saying. So I have no doubt that while there's a he said, she said portion of this, it sounds like Final Frontier Games has not been particularly well run for many years. Okay, that's that portion of this. But I want to go back to just the general idea here that CMON is doing exactly what every other company right now is doing. They're taking this sort of wait and see attitude on how they're going to be able to bring products to the U.S., if they're going to bring products to the U.S., if things are going to go up. They're doing the right things. Everything they said, in this statement, everything they said in the statement is a good thing. They're going away from future productions. They're going to say, okay, we're going to put a halt on that. And now they're going to come back and say, we're going to make sure that we can do the current stuff. The current product pipeline is what we're going to focus on and not worry about, okay, let's get to that next Kickstarter. So I
And if I
applaud
could
them for
say,
this.
a lot of the American publishers are taking the tack right now of storing and warehousing. And a lot of the Asian producers, the producers in China, are offering warehousing services for these American
Mhm.
companies who don't want to pay to have them brought to the US yet. They're going to wait and see how the tariff
Mhm.
situation settles out and shift into a warehousing company.
Mhm. Ignacy, anything you want to add to this?
I think no, because I'm in a very difficult position. As our listeners know, I'm a Polish partner for CMON. We do all of their games, or most of their games, all the Zombicide, Blood Rages, Rising Suns, and everything. So, no, of course, I hope CMON is in a great condition. I hope they are, as they said in the interview with you, in a great position to grow, or at least not to have troubles doing the tariffs. And I'm very happy that they are delivering games as promised. And exactly what you just said, uh, these 20% tariffs, you can somehow mitigate and get it to yourself. But
Right.
with current tariffs of 154% is insane. So yes, we are all now waiting,
Hmm.
and it's a waiting game. So yes, here at Portal, we hope everybody will be fine and everybody will be in a good position. And
Right.
now
Yeah.
just we try to survive.
Right. Excellent. Um, let's shift over to the Diamond Comics bankruptcy, which obviously we've been reporting now on for well over a month that this happened. We get more and more information on how it's falling out. And the first part of the reporting, this is coming from ICV2. The fact the next several comments about this from ICV2. Thank you to them. The Diamond Comics will be sold to Alliance Entertainment. Now,
It's final.
it's now final, right? Diamond tried to shift away from them for some crazy reason, and they were the highest bidder, and move it to Universal, right? Universal wanted to buy them. They were
But
the stalking
Universal
horse,
had that initial,
right?
the initial
Stalking horse
stalking
bid.
horse bid.
But officially, it is now going to Alliance Entertainment, not to be affiliated with, not to be associated in any way with Alliance Game Distributors. Quickly, Alliance Comic distributors and subsidiaries, including Alliance Game Distributors, will be sold to Alliance Entertainment according to a filing in the bankruptcy case on April 10th. Although Alliance Entertainment was declared the winner on the day of the bankruptcy auction, Diamond attempted to change the winner to a joint bid from Universal Distribution and WizKids and NECA Parent, which resulted in a lawsuit by Alliance Entertainment last weekend. A hearing was held on that issue and other matters this week, and the filing referred to the results. So it is going forward in the way that we initially reported. More of the terms now have come out, and it seems to be that Alliance Game Distributors, okay, the game distributors portion will be purchased for $36.8 million, less $6.7 million, the defined amount for the average net working capital, plus 90% of the value of Alliance's closing inventory and 90% of the value of Alliance's accounts receivable aged less than 90 days. There's a lot of like math in there, but let's say approximately $30 million. I think that's about the number that is going to come out to. And the list of Alliance contracts being assigned and major cure amounts includes Arcane Tin Man, $136,000, Bandai, $3,122,000, Direwolf, $303,000. So they have a long list of all of
They
these
do.
debtors,
They
creditors.
Interestingly, they did put in an exception clause in there for the Pokemon Company because Pokemon had sued to get their debt paid before others. And this is only 283,000. It's an extended period to object, though. So Pokemon's got a little bit of a special case.
Right, right. And this actually came out literally overnight. I grabbed it off the website right before we went to record this, that some of the numbers are fairly ugly for Diamond. An upward revision of the Diamond comic distributors' liabilities at the time of their Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing, and an increase in their bank debt and accumulated fees and costs of the bankruptcy are adding challenges to the bankruptcy's goal of paying 100% of what's owed to the unsecured creditors. All those people that are owed money, all of the publishers and Pokemon, everybody trying to get their money out of this, it's having a problem due to all of these things that were hidden. In the filing last week, Diamond listed $82.9 million in total liabilities as of the bankruptcy filing, up from the 75.7 it listed in a filing in February. The secured debt of $31 million in prior claims of 851,000 remain the same. The increase was all in the debt to unsecured creditors, which according to the revision stood at $51 million at the time of the filing, roughly 7.2 million higher than the original filing. Whenever we get these convoluted bankruptcy type things, or any time when there's a controversy in numbers, these numbers start to get crazy and lawyers get involved and the fees start piling up. So this is just another example of this is not going to end anytime soon. And in the end, it's probably some people are going to lose some money in this entire
Yeah.
shakeout.
Well, the buyout is due to close, the entire purchase to close on this Friday, April 25th. So hopefully it goes well.
Will it close?
That is the schedule.
Wow.
Barring delays, the purchase is scheduled to close Friday, April 25th.
And Corey, you just put this one in here because we'll go back to tariffs here now for a little while. Talk about this one. This is great because I didn't this came out yesterday and I didn't reach out to my buddy
I think
Alex.
a lot of the industry is talking about this right now. At Stonemaier Games, in their blog, Jamie wrote that Stonemaier is joining a lawsuit to sue the president over tariffs. We are joining a lawsuit that will challenge the unchecked authority of the executive branch to impose tariffs. We will not stand idly by while our livelihoods and the livelihoods of thousands of small business owners and contractors in the U.S., along with the customers whose pursuit of happiness we hold dear, are treated like pawns in a political game. So there's a large lawsuit being made that the basis of it is that tariffs should only be imposed by Congress. And all of these tariffs that have been happening very spontaneously and chaotically have been from executive orders from the president directly. So it's a lawsuit about who has the power to impose tariffs. And it's basically on the basis of tariffs being a tax on goods coming into the U.S. should not apply to goods that are not made in the U.S. The purpose of a tariff is if a good is made in the U.S. and the same good is made in another country, you tax the good in the other country so that it is easier to sell it within the U.S. It helps boost a domestic production. But with board games, as an example, and many, many, many other products, they are not made in the U.S. at all.
Correct.
So it's purely a tax on the consumer. So what's also nice about this blog post from Jamie is he's writing out. Stonemaier has always been very transparent about what's going on, which I really appreciate. And he's writing out what the plans are regarding tariffs and all this, in addition to talking about the lawsuit. Stonemaier's newest game is Vantage. And they said they currently have 200,000 units of reprints and 50,000 units of Vantage, plus 57,000 other Vantage accessories ready to ship out of Shenzhen in a few weeks, which who knows if that's going to come or not. So their plan, they're going to sell to other countries. So they're shifting, like a lot of other people, to sell more products not in the U.S. than in the U.S. They're storing the US products made in China. They're just storing them in China, waiting for the tariff situation to settle down, like I talked about previously.
Yep.
They're going to send out of stock US quantities to the US. So, specifically to keep things from going completely out of stock. And this is targeted mostly at FinSpan, which is out of stock in the US. And they say they will absorb most of the tariff cost on this to minimize impact on distributors, retailers, and consumers. And as far as Vantage, which they've been hyping a lot, they're going to send direct sale Vantage to the US. This one I found particularly interesting. Jamie wrote, I've spent too long trying to make this game affordable that I'm not going to let one person with unchecked power get in the way of me serving my customers. The tariffs may have a slight impact on the US price, but the plan is to largely keep our direct price the same and to give customers the option to cover the tariff cost at checkout. The plan to release Vantage to the US distribution and retail may need a delay. The lack of margins there have a bigger impact on a new game than on reprints.
Did,
So it's a very interesting read on Stonemeier's website on their blog.
he didn't mention how he's joining, I'm putting air quotes, joining this, this lawsuit. I mean, anybody can say they're joining, but I mean, like, and he spoke to a lawyer, but there isn't a way that you can just simply join in this lawsuit. You have to.
So this happens a lot. Like back when they were starting to sue tobacco companies over smoking related health things, they would open up a lawsuit and say, if you want to join this lawsuit, and they would get millions of people joining the lawsuit. This is a similar situation. So the tariff lawsuit has a lot of different companies. They currently have maxed out how many companies can join in, but they are still taking information of other companies, other people who are upset and have been impacted to use as evidence for why this is
So
bad.
it's a class
And
action
Jamie
lawsuit.
has some links. Yes. And
Okay.
Jamie has information in the blog
Yeah.
about it. It's also pretty easy to do a Google search and find the original source
Okay.
of the lawsuit.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that out because I want to read how this class has been established. Because the class is like everyone, everyone in this country. Certainly anybody with a business that produces games in China could be part of this class. Produces games anywhere,
Yeah,
really. Very interesting. Wow. Okay.
Well, if I may, if I make two comments, one silly comment.
sure.
10 years ago, when we started the podcast with Steven, we didn't anticipate that we will have a headline: "Board game publishers sues President of America."
We did
We
not
would never see that
anticipate.
coming.
We did not anticipate saying U.S. board game publisher sues the president of the United States. No, that is correct.
And being serious for a moment, a very important thing that was said here, and I want to highlight even more. Publishers in America are moving now their sales to the Europe or other places because of the tariffs. So what Corey just read, this Stonemer will put some of their print run to the Europe or other places, is exactly happening with Portal Games. We have been reprinting Robinson Crusoe right now. It was not a big news, so I was not, covering this news. It was just a reprint and decision. And of course, the reprint was for the American market. We are now redirecting it, and it will be shipped to Europe, obviously. So, what is important for our listeners, how it affects them, there will be more and more games being sold out in America because the reprints will not go to America, they will go to the Europe. This is what's happening right now
Sure.
as we speak.
Absolutely. Oh,
And this is not the only lawsuit. Um, Famously, the governor of California has also said that he's suing the president over the tariffs. So, and I think that is a separate lawsuit.
We don't have one thing in the show notes. So either we will do it right now, either next week. So I will just guys ask you. A few days ago there was a post on a blog called highnoongame.com And the blog post was the board game industry is burning and it's their own fault. We don't have it in the show notes. I don't know if you want to discuss it. I just want to very shortly discuss it right now, either if this is
Sure.
possible.
Um,
There was a there was a There was a person who wrote a very long post saying that the
Yeah.
board game publishers are
okay.
morons and they cannot
S-
do their business, etc., etc., etc.
s-
And I see these posts surfacing social media. People are sharing it, and of course, it has a very catchy title, very good for social media. And that it is a fault of board game publishers. And if somebody is just reading the media, like reading the headlines and getting conclusions out of that,
Yeah.
I want to point out that
I
this article is full of
yeah.
not
Full
true
of crap.
information.
Well,
Yes, and I want
a
to
lot of the stuff originally in the article was
Yeah.
just plain wrong.
Wrong.
it's yes, and I want to give shout out to our friend of all of us, Geoffrey Engelstein, who wrote a very precise comment under this blog post, pointing out every single lie in this post and
Yeah.
every
So
untrue
Right.
information said
so
in this post.
And
So I
it
want
was a
to just
reaction to the
tell to
Final
our
Frontier
listeners.
thing.
Yeah, so to our listeners, if you see this article in on your social media, please read not only the article, read the comment from Jeffrey
yeah.
on Engelstein,
Yeah.
who deals with all the
Yeah.
lies in this article.
So let me comment if you don't mind for a second. I wasn't going to give this dirtbag.
We need, Stephen, but we need because
I
this
agree.
is surfacing on social media. People are reading and getting wrong conclusions. So we are now mystifying.
Yeah, no, and Ignacy, you're right. It's sort of like a, it's you give him oxygen, therefore he knows he gets more power. You don't talk about him, people look at that. The guy's a dirtbag. I'm going to start with that. Number one, he's been banned from events across the country. He's not allowed to go to GAMA events for various reasons. I won't even go into those things. He is so wrong about everything he posted. He's saying that tariffs are 20% and board game publishers are full of crap and they don't know how to manage the business. It's just nonsense, everything he said. So I discount it. And as you said, Jeff Engelstein pointed it out. And in fact, interestingly enough, Jeff asked me to please review a white paper that he has just written on tariffs. It's in my inbox. At some point,
There
on
you
my
go.
wonderful vacation here, I got to review a technical white paper on tariffs for Jeff. I will do anything for a friend, right? So I'm going to do that and get back to him before he like puts it out there for, for like being like, okay, here's my paper on this whole thing. So you've mentioned his thing. I don't even want to mention it again. If you do come across it, ignore it. He's wrong. And he's a jerk. And I agree. Say it so we can go past it. That's
Just
how I feel.
real quick, the biggest argument that lots of people have put about why it's not the fault of the tariffs is they will cite the raw amount of money that a Kickstarter brings in. And the most famous one is Merchant's Cove, brought in $1 million. What people need to realize is the raw amount of money brought in on a Kickstarter does not relate to how much money someone makes. The
No.
argument that they made $1 million on the Kickstarter, grabbed the money, ran off, and went to Tahiti and had a party is just wrong. Merchant's Cove had such a high production cost that they delivered the game to backers on $1 million Kickstarter, but they lost money in the long run because it was so difficult to produce that game and so many people wanted it. So it's an example of a very high profile, very popular game that production costs made, it was just not a product that was sustainable.
Yeah. Let's move on. AEG issues a statement on their fulfillments to the U.S. and they're saying they're on hold. Corey, this appeared, I believe, was it in an email or was it on their website?
Yes, it was newsletter to all the customers of AIG. I'm one
Right.
of them, so he's
Oh, okay. So, AEG is delaying the U.S. fulfillment for Dead Reckoning, Port of Call, and Thunderstone Quest, Rise and Fall. Kickstarter backers and late pledges of our current Dead Reckoning and Thunderstone Quest campaigns. This is going to be, they're going to be delaying everything. It's a very hard message for them to write. They're indicating the economic conditions in the United States created by the recent changes in Chinese import tariffs will make it infeasible to fulfill this campaign in the US in the near term. The campaign is going to fulfill normally in the rest of the world. We expect that the products to fulfill backer orders will arrive at their depots everywhere other than the US in June or a little later, and that fulfillment will be completed other than the US. So here's just another company
This
saying,
is the same strategy that lots of companies are
yeah,
using. They've already paid for the games to be made. The games have been manufactured and are sitting in China. It will cost more than the production cost to bring them to the US. And that would destroy any profit. It would actually make a huge loss to bring them to the US to sell them. So they're just going to warehouse them in China until the fire goes down.
right. Another issue with our tariffs. And now we get to yet another one. And this is with the
Yeah.
company Greater Than Games, a company that, was an early company in the industry, brought a lot of very interesting games out, was
Most
purchased.
known for Sentinels of the Multiverse.
Sentinels of the Multiverse, fantastic game, deck building game in their own little superhero world. And sadly, they are closing shop. They were bought by Flat River Games. So
Yeah.
Flat River has said, and that Greater Than Games will no longer, be operational, which is very sad. They've laid everybody off.
And
So
this was very, very fast. There's a lot of course, all of the designers and owners and everybody are here at the gathering, and word around is that the people essentially showed up for work and the doors were locked. So there was not anticipation of this. They just closed. It brings into question the state of Flat River Group. Flat River is a distributor, a localizer, middleman in the board game industry, has been for a while. And having, for them to make the decision to close up Greater Than Games is a big deal. So it has to be some sort of response to things going on in Flat River.
If I may comment, because once like with the CMON for Greater Than Games, I'm their Polish partner. I do Polish edition of Sentinels. I do Polish edition of Spirit Island, big major hit. So once again, another company that is my friends. After this announcement, of course, we reached to Flat River Games and we reached what it means for our relationship with them. And it is not affecting the partners. So the Flat River Games still holds rights for Spirit Island. They still hold the rights for Sentinel. So publishers in Europe and other parts still will publish their games. We will still have a Polish edition of Spirit Island, etc., etc. But without the team, the whole people who created these amazing games, it is unlikely that we will have a new expansions for Spirit Island, for instance, right? Because there is no people who can design them. But the rights for the games and the grand operations remain in place, and the company is working.
very good. So
Yeah.
more probably tariff. It is tariff related. Bezier Games
Yes,
is delaying the start of their next crowdfunding campaign. Is this Ignacio's article or is it
yes.
closed? Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is another. So on one hand, AIG announced that they are delaying delivery of the games, and Bezier had their company plan for today, April 22nd, to start the campaign on the crowdfunding platform. And they said everything is ready. They even showed some of the assets. We are ready to start, but because the situation is unclear, we have
Yeah.
no clue what will be the tariffs later on. So we have everything prepared, but we are not starting the campaign. Please stay tuned. We are very, very sorry, but it is too risky to start the thing. So this is exactly what I'm doing here with Race to Berlin. I started the campaign to Race to Berlin, but I'm charging US backers $1. This is not bringing a lot of value
And
to my
this
budget.
is the
So
this is almost the universal feeling among the publishers, designers, owners here at the gathering is everybody is delaying, waiting, storing in China.
Yeah, exactly that. So we have some really
And
interesting. I'm sorry, go ahead, Ignacy.
yeah, and the number one is because we have now basically all the news that are coming up and these days are quite similar because all these companies are coming up with a similar solution to the situation. So we have here Pandasaurus Games, who is very openly saying that they have some games in production, they have some games in the schedule, and due to the tariffs, they cannot offer them to the US market, so they will be offering them to the Europe, and they are opening a French and a German division. So the companies are moving away from America, which I guess is quite opposite of what President of the United States wanted to achieve. But here we have a clear example. Pandasaurus Games here is opening divisions in Europe and will publish some of the games only in Europe due to the tariffs. So insane.
Yeah, this was very surprising when I saw this that Pandasaurus specifically is saying we're going to house games in Europe. Games are going to be released across Europe, and they may never make it to the U.S.
Yeah.
Wow, I mean that's is not something that I had on my bingo card that we would all of a sudden be not getting games in the U.S. because of some
From
bizarre
American
trade.
publishers. From American
Amer
publishers.
from American publishers, right? I mean, it's like a double insanity,
Right.
really. Absolutely crazy. So let's go to some good news, Corey. Corey, I'm sure you put in
What?
the
There's
American.
good news?
There's good news. The American Tabletop Awards, Corey, from Board Game Wire.
Yeah, so this is back from 9th of April. Board Game Wire put this out. The American Tabletop Awards is an award scheme launched 6 years ago. The aim of being the U.S. equivalent of the Spiel des Jahres. So there's a lot of competing awards out there, and they all have issues of one type or another. Too many categories, odd games fitting in the wrong categories, who's voting, things like this. So the American Tabletop Awards just revealed its 2025 winners. Captain Flip, which was nominated for last year's Spiel des Jahres, triumphed in the Tabletop Awards Early Gamers Award category this year. So congratulations to Captain Flip. Also awarded is The Gang, won the Casual Games Award. And Let's Go to Japan, published by AEG, won the Strategy Games Award. And Fromage got Complex Games, which was a little odd to me. Fromage, I think, is a very approachable medium to light game, but definitely worthy of an award. So congratulations to all the winners.
I didn't know.
Just as a reminder,
Go ahead, Corey. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, just as a reminder, last year's American Tabletop Award winners were Blob Party, Sea Salt and Paper, Thunder Road Vendetta, and White Castle.
Well, I support the Thunder Road Vendetta award right there. But it's funny. I don't really. I have not put this award in my head. I don't have it in my like list of like, oh, this is a good award to like start considering. I think they need a little more publicity or something like that so that people start like remembering the American Tabletop Awards. Who's actually running this? Is there a committee? Is there
Yeah, the committee is Nicole Brady, who's the president of GAMA,
my
Jessica
buddy Nicole
Fisher.
and Scott Brady, and
Yeah,
they need to help. Come on, Nicole and Scott.
Jessica Fisher
I have
is
a
in the
suggestion.
committee,
Go ahead.
co-founder of Gameosity and Tabletop Games Jobs Facebook group, and Good Times Society in Rado runs through producer Ruel.
Cool.
I have almost won Spiel des Jahres. I won Golden Geek. I won Dice Tower. I haven't won American Tabletop Award. So I think that if I win this award,
Then
there will
it's
be some
important.
recognition. Like people will be loving the situation and lots of word be spread about this. So maybe next year.
Yes. Well,
Fantastic.
this is a big news episode, so we'll finish the news. We're gonna probably skip strategy and tactics then because we have so much news that we did today. Uh, Corey, this has definitely got to be yours, right? The Board and Dice Mindclash Games.
Actually, I think Ignacy put that in.
Ignacy, look at you putting news here again. What's going on?
Board and Dice, Polish publisher, and Mindclash Games, the European publisher, are trying to deal with the problem in America distribution, and they are trying to now offer their games as a bulk for the distribution in America. So they are not merging as a companies. There is not like a, becoming one company, but they will have a one warehouse, one catalog, and if any retailer wants to buy it direct from them, they can order both of these companies' catalog. So interesting move for them to just deal with these difficult times to have more direct orders from them.
Very, very cool.
Fantastic.
So the last thing we'll do very quickly is that GAMA, Ignacio's favorite organization in the world, they have
It's my
every
news
year.
as well.
I know they're your new best friends now. I know you've had very nice conversations with them recently.
I'm actually happy about that.
No, they are, and they have every year they reestablish the board based on who's on the board and what the positions on the board are. So Nicole Brady, who I've mentioned already twice, I think in this episode, remains the president of the board. Monica Razzo, who was the vice president, is going to move to the treasurer, and Meredith Placco, who we mentioned last week, who
Yeah.
is now becoming
Meredith, yeah.
she's now becoming the vice
Meredith
president,
was the CEO of Steve Jackson Games for
right?
several years, and left to spend more time with Turbo Dork, her paint company that she founded.
Right. So congratulations again to GAMA for continuing to be very supportive of the industry. They're very active on what they're doing with the tariffs. They've had a series of action items. They're actually doing, which I don't think we mentioned, they're actually doing some seminars on how to deal with tariffs for GAMA members. And congratulations on continuing good work all around that
I
they
want
are
to
doing.
just,
Go ahead.
I need my silly comment. Come on.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right.
I think this is strategically is a great decision that Nicole is once again the president because since
Yes.
she is the president of GAMA, I'm not hating the GAMA. So this is great for the GAMA to
They did
silence
it
one of the
just
haters.
to keep on Portal's good side. That's the reason they did it.
All right. Everybody, we're going to skip strategy and tactics this week because we are really long, really, really long. Let's do a very quick look at playtesting. All right. Gentlemen, as usual, Corey, you did give us the question last week. Why don't you read that question and we will take some answers
It's
from
a
our people.
it's a goofy one,
It's a dumb
but
question. You're right.
it hit a nerve. We got a lot of really good answers. Have you ever accidentally eaten a game component at the table, or at least put it in your mouth thinking it was a piece of food?
Yeah.
And I will just say yes, no comment. Um, I found it really fascinating. I had completely forgotten about it, but we got a huge number of answers in here about wingspan eggs, which look almost identical to traditional Easter candy in the US, these little speckled chocolate eggs.
They really
I
look
had
like
totally
candy.
forgotten about that, and I have actually
Right.
put a wingspan egg in my mouth and chewed on it.
Right.
Yes.
And then we have those like Aaron Pope who said, nope. And I'm one of those curmudgeons that doesn't allow food at my home gaming table. And even when playing
Oh my God.
elsewhere, I still adhere to my own rule. The idle motion of hand to mouth is simply not registered to my brain when gaming. I love that answer. So Aaron is
Patrick
not
Zoch
eating
wrote,
things.
Patrick Zoch wrote, no, but Honey Buzz pieces do look like they were made by Haribo. They're very tempting. I like that a
That's
lot.
great.
So, um, man, there were so many good
Yeah.
ones.
Chris
The
Dupree,
speckled eggs
yeah,
dominated.
yeah, Chris Dupree, no, have not, but have told casual gamers to stop using the cardboard components as a toothpick, flat floss.
This
Quick, I
horrified
mean,
me. Who does
I
this?
can't imagine that somebody's taking a card and starting to
Oh,
floss their teeth. That is
no,
horrifying on
no,
so many
just
levels.
no, 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 no.
No, don't do it. Just don't do it.
Uh, Joey Larson says, I can't say how many times my kids have asked if the battery tokens from Galaxy Trucker were candy. I bet at least one of them has been in a mouth at my house. They are adorable, delicious looking
Right.
pieces.
Very good. So to expedite getting to the end of this very epically long episode, I created the next question because I made it in line with what we've been talking about for the last several weeks, and including this episode. And
Yeah.
Corey's last question that he had here was absolutely ridiculous, so I wasn't going to use it.
Oh, come
So
on.
the question that I have put in here for next week is hobby game prices will be going up if tariffs for Chinese goods remain in place, particularly at tariff rates of 145%, which is the currently announced rate. If hobby game prices go up by 100%, i.e., prices double, will you continue to buy A, the same number of games as you have been, B, half the number of games you have been, C, very few or no further games? Or are you going to use some other calculation for your hobby game purchases? Gentlemen, I mean, we're
Interesting.
in a special category, of course, because we buy games for various reasons as people in the industry. I mean, for me, I'm probably not going to change. I'm going to buy the games that I buy because I buy them when I really find a game very intriguing, I'm going to buy it. But again, I think we're in a very different position. It's more important for the
Yeah.
average gamer to answer this question. Um, but it's certainly, the average gamer is certainly going to be saying something
I
lower. Maybe we should
and
predict what they're going to say.
uh I think almost nobody's going to say same number of games.
I think it's going to
I
be
think it's
half
going to be split in half between half of games and no more
and
games.
no more games. Yeah.
I can say for me, the side of it that I'm going to be looking at is I get offered games from publishers.
Hmm.
And I'm going to start feeling very uncomfortable about taking a free game from a publisher
Right.
because the cost involved in getting that free game to
Sure.
me is going to be
Yeah.
so much higher.
Right.
So that's always going to be running through
Yeah.
my mind. And
Right.
I likely am going
Yeah.
to be buying less, but not half.
Right. Yeah, I don't take free games. I mean, somebody like forces it on me, and some people have done so.
I'm kind of the
I'll
same. Yeah.
take it. If I want a game, I buy it. You know, that kind of thing. I don't want to because I don't review, right? So if I don't review, if I love something, I'm gonna talk about it, right? So then I just go buy it. But we're in different positions than the average listener out there. Ignacy, any comment that you might have on this?
Yeah, for many, as we were discussing, the game that costs, for instance, $50 has a different actual cost considering how much you earn. And for years, I was saying that here in Eastern Europe, when people earn less money than in Western Europe or in America,
Mm-hmm.
and the actual real cost for the gamer of the game is much higher. And for instance, here in Poland, Blood Rage or Rising Sun or the big box games cost like 400 Polish zloty. And of course, I know that Polish zloty is less valuable than dollar, but for here in people in Poland, it is as valuable for Polish zloty as for people in America for a dollar. So here in Poland, the industry was growing with these insanely high prices for our people, for our nation. But for people in America, this is going to be shock. They would never pay $400 for
Sure.
Blood Rage, and I think they will buy less games. They will be very, very hesitant, and what
Yeah.
is even more, for the Kickstarters and GameFound campaigns, they will be
Right.
very, very hesitant. So we will see a drop of the sales for sure.
Absolutely. So right now, Ignacy is going to be placing this amazing question in a thread in our Guild on Board Game Geek. Please go there and answer our question that we're posing to you, and hopefully we will take your answer next week. In the meantime, it's the final scoring. Thank you so much for listening and help us spread the word about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever they like to get their podcasts or watch Board Games Insider on the Podfather of Gaming YouTube channel. If you want to be part of this podcast, you can go to our guild on Board Game Geek, sign up, become a member, ask us questions for our strategy and tactics segment, answer our question to you from our playtesting segment. Please do this. It's easy. We love to hear from you guys. Speaking of hearing from you, interact with us on social media. And it's amazing. The handle is the same on all the platforms: Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, YouTube. It's at Board Games Insider, Portal Games US, Podfather Gaming, Dice Tower Dish, Play2Z Games, Above Board TV, and Nerd About Show. Follow us on whichever social media you love the most, or you can speak directly to us on these platforms. Check out the websites as well. And a special call out, of course, to the YouTube channels that we all use as our bread and butter here: Portal Games Studio, the Podfather of Gaming, and Above Board TV. We really would love to see you in person at an upcoming convention. I'm not sure what that's going to be. Corey's going to be at RageCon soon.
Rage.
I'm not sure what my next convention is going to be at this moment. I'll figure that out very soon.
Origins?
I might. I don't know if I'm going to make it. I'm going to try, but it's a really rough time of year. I'm going to be on another trip in Europe, like right after that. So I'm going to see if I can make Origins. We'll see what happens. Board Games Insider was professionally edited by Jake Thompson. Jake, thank you for being part of our team. And that great voice you hear doing the intro, the outro, the in-between segments is that of Ray Greenlee. He can be contacted to do your voiceover segments and work at raygreenleevoiceover.com. Gentlemen, what an episode. I think this is the first episode that I've ever seen where my Audacity recording says it's over an hour. Wow. Anything else?
I just want to throw in an end of episode. Technically, this podcast was produced in China from the both South and East China Sea. So we are going to be asking all of our listeners to send us $50 each before the tariffs on China. It costs us a little bit of money to produce this. It's about a $10 production at the current tariff rates. I think every listener owes us $50. It's not unreasonable.
And support.
Oh, this only applies to
campaign,
American
please.
listeners.
Only American listeners have to send. Corey,
Yeah.
that is the funniest fucking thing. I'm not supposed to curse. The funniest fucking thing you've ever said in your life. Oh, God. Thank you for that. Ignacy, how you doing?
Welcome to professional podcasting.
Professional podcasting 101. Don't curse and, make all kinds of politically motivated jokes about tariffs.
I think I will never win Golden Geek with you guys. You are the terrible podcasters.
We are so bad.
That was so funny. Every American must send us money. Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure to podcast with you. Thank you so much. Send us money. No, don't send us money. Don't send us any money. See you next week, everybody. Bye-bye.
Take care.
See you later, everyone.